Hi guys, DeMarco here, General Manager of DeMarcosports.com. Like I have to tell you with my name right here at the bottom of the screen. And this is going to be your Tuesday video report. I've got a couple of baseball plays coming your way in just a moment. And as you know, I've been red hot in baseball, cashed in with another best bet last night. I think that's number 8 out of 9, as I scored with my fourth straight underdog winner on the diamond with the Orioles plus $1.15 on the run line, getting the job done over St. Louis. Interesting football game last night. I told you in yesterday's video report I wasn't sure which way to go. One thing's for sure, the Jets still have offensive line problems. We knew that coming into the season, and we certainly saw it last night, and it contributed to Aaron Rodgers, who, as I do this video report at 3:45 in the morning because I have nothing better to do in this hotel room, reports are that he probably suffered a season-ending Achilles injury. Tough break for the Jets and for Rodgers as well. That's how the cookie crumbles. So anyway, that was one of those games last night that if you won with the Jets, you were lucky. And if you lost with the Bills, it's one of those things. I mean, what can you say? But again, as I always like to say, it's okay to win and be lucky, because for as many times as you lose, those are the breaks. Personally, just a little philosophy on that. People always like to talk about bad beats. And of course, Scott Van Pelt has made like almost a semi-second career talking about bad beats on ESPN. Let's be honest, right? But here's what I personally feel about that. As a guy who's gambled since, well, I don't even want to admit how long I've been gambling, and as a guy who's been handicapping since 1983, okay? As a guy who's done this religiously for so many years, I truly believe that more often than not, you get more breaks in your favor than not. And bad beats is just something that's mythical, because what happens is you remember the bad losses more than the good wins. So people want to talk about the bad beats, but if you do this on a consistent basis, you really do win more than you lose. Those horrific losses, though, are the ones that are singed in your memory. So don't fall for the bad beat BS. Say that 3 times quickly. Okay, before I turn to the baseball complimentary plays, I just want to talk to you about something in another betting philosophy and tip that has worked out with that little trend that I talked to you about. Because remember, with now the Jets winning outright last night, you realize the straight up winners went 14-2 against the spread this week, right? So we'll keep monitoring that for you as well. But here's something else. First of all, the favorites just got their asses kicked this week. Home favorites were atrocious. They went 2-8 against the spread. The only home favorites to cover were the Falcons and the Ravens. The road favorites, surprisingly, went 4-1. The only loser there being the Bengals. The winners were Jacksonville. Yes, since they were my rare 39 release, only the 17th in 22 years. Was it pretty? No. But again, I can be lucky. The other road favorites getting the job done were the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. The road dogs, or let's talk about the dogs. Of the 9 underdogs, 8 of them were road dogs, right? Here's something that I want to talk to you about, and I want you to consider it. Now, first of all, I'm a firm believer that you find one game, you pound it. You don't play 7 or 8 games. The odds are mathematically stacked against you in order to turn a profit, because the vig will kill you. That's just my philosophy. One game, surround it, pound it, done with it. But you will find, and last year and over the years, that over the first 10 to 13 weeks of the season, that the underdogs that cover, somewhere around 50 to 52% of them will also win the game outright. So in week number 1, of those 9 dogs that covered, 7 of them won outright. The Lions, the Browns, the Bucks, the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Packers, and the Rams all won outright. Now, why is that significant? Because I have a philosophy that if you love an underdog and it has a nice take-back price on the money line, play the money line wager as a second smaller wager. Now, let me give you a scenario. Let's go back to the Thursday night game. Did you really think the Lions were going to beat Kansas City in Arrowhead? Forget about the fact that they ultimately did. Did you really think the Lions were going to win the game outright? Forget about the fact that they were plus $1.80 on the money line. Nobody really thought they would win the game outright. Plus 4.5, yes. Did anybody think on Sunday that the Buccaneers were going to beat Minnesota outright? The fact that they did, inconsequential. So the fact that the Buccaneers were plus $1.75 on the money line, who cares? Now, look at the Miami LA Chargers game. 3.5 point line, right? Could have went either way, and it did. Miami won the game outright. But Miami was $1.35 on the money line. Now that is a game that if you love the Dolphins as your best bet, you should have made a smaller secondary wager on the Dolphins plus $1.35. That's a great take-back price as a second smaller wager on the money line for a dog that you love. Last year, last year all the way through the regular season, the underdogs won outright at almost a 50-52% clip. Generally, it only works for about the first 10 to 12 weeks of the season because the prices are adjusted accordingly. But I will keep you updated on that. It's just another betting philosophy I've discovered over the past 15 years. And it's a way for you to take your best bet and increase the margins and the profitability without really increasing the amount of money you're investing on that one single wager. Listen, it's all about financial strategy when you're wagering. You got to think what you're doing rather than just throw money arbitrarily on extra games because that's when the vig kills you. The other thing, of course, is the unders. I misquoted myself the other day. Hey, I was working on 27 hours with no sleep. The unders did go 12-4 in week number 1. Again, preseasons are meaningless, and it's become just a sham. And until these coaches realize that controlled scrimmages and joint practices are not the same as real game action because they hold out their starters, they hold out their quarterbacks, this is what happens. You see that Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach, after the post-game presser, he said in that game against the Patriots that he might have to reconsider his preseason philosophy after Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense so struggled against New England after taking that early 16-0 lead. 7 of the points came on an interception return anyway. I was a reporter for nearly 10 years. I don't care what sport. In casual conversations with athletes and interviews, etc., I can't tell you how many of them said that nothing, practice, controlled scrimmages, etc., could equal the game action that you got from really being there, playing for real. If I could do my Allen Iverson invitation or play the cue it up, the practice, I would because Allen was right. That's the reality. Okay, let's get to your complimentary plays. The first one is going to be Texas minus 105 at Toronto. Listen, Max Scherzer was rolling along his first 6 starts for the Rangers, 2.21 earned run average, and then he got crushed. Worst start of the season statistically last Wednesday at home against the Astros and his old teammate Justin Verlander as he gave up 7 runs, including 3 homers in 3 innings. But I think he rebounds here tonight against Toronto. Now, the Rangers have now suddenly won 3 straight after that horrible stretch of 6-16. They won last night's series opener 10-4. They've scored 19 runs in their last 2 games, and they've been a streaky offensive team all season long. I know the Blue Jays had won 8 out of 10 going into that series opening loss last night, but keep in mind that those 8 wins came against the dreck of baseball, the Rockies, the A's, and the Royals. So I like Scherzer to rebound here. I also like the Cubs minus $1.20 on the run line in this particular spot because, listen, they're going against a guy tonight, Colorado, Chris Flexen. They're starting him. They picked him up after he got released by Seattle. And why did Seattle release him? Because with Seattle, he had an earned run average of 6.98. Well, since making 8 starts, he had an earned run average with Seattle of 7.71. In 8 starts for the Rockies, he has an earned run average of 6.98. The Cubs won last night's opener 5-4. They've got him back on board after losing 3 straight games at home at Wrigley to Arizona. Cubs clearly the better team here, and minus $1.20 on the run line, not too bad. I like both plays equally here, and of course I've been on a red hot roll. I won last night again in baseball. I'm going for winning day number 9 out of 10 tonight. Last night was my 4th straight dog of the day as I cashed in with the Orioles, plus $1.15 on the run line. By the way, the 1-day free all access pass is available to you once again if you have never taken advantage of it. You can get my best bet and all the best bets of all the handicappers for free today simply by clicking on the 1-day free all access pass over at DeMarcosports.com. Guys, I wish you well, and I may be here again tomorrow. God, would that be a record here of late. 5 straight days. Can we do that? I don't know. Take it easy, guys. Talk to you soon. Good luck, everybody.